can spell love, but I'll talk about it later. So it says, do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And so this verse has kind of been preached, and you might have heard it whether you go to church or not. But it's been preached in a term of almost like, I don't know if you know what legalism is, but it's just like, you better not love the world. You know, that's the tone of the verse, that's the tone we've kind of preached it. But I don't even believe that's the tone that the Apostle John wrote. I don't even believe that's the tone that God has when he's saying this to you. Right? He's saying, do not love the world or the things in the world. And this is the one okay, we get it, that makes sense. But then he says, if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Right? So the issue is not that people love the world. The issue is that people do not know and do not have the Father's love in them. The issue is not that people are sinners and people are making mistakes and going after empty things. The issue is that we don't know who we are. And ever since we've been born, we've been trying to find acceptance. We've been trying to find love through people, through situations, through relationships. Ever since we were born, that's all we knew. We were trying to find ourselves from situations. We don't have the Father's love. That's why we go after the world. You know what he's saying? And so I was thinking about this, and I was just thinking, like, even how God made man. So in the beginning, God made Adam, right? When he said, it says that God made man in his image, right? And the image of God is love. So God, in the beginning, he made man to love. And this is one of the biggest notes, is that God made man to love, not need love. Right? Because God is the source of love. So when he made man, he made him to need him. Right? And so Adam, when you look at the Bible and read it, and you see Adam, he was so fulfilled in the love of God. Right? He was not lacking, he had no need, he had no emptiness. He was so fulfilled because he knew God. He was made in his image, he was made in love, he was made to love. Right? It doesn't even say that, like, people are like, well, yeah, it says that Adam was alone, and so God made him a woman because he was lacking. That's not what it says. Right? It says that it doesn't say that Adam was lonely. Right? When you're lonely, you need love. It says that Adam was alone, which means he had no one to love. You know what I mean? He needed love. He was already fulfilled. He was made by God. He lacked nothing. But he had no one to love. He had no one to impart what God made him to be. Right? The reason we can say God is love is because God himself is Trinity. It's three people. They can love each other. It's three persons. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they have the ability to love, right? And so what happened was that Adam, he's living in the garden. He's fulfilled in his relationship with God. And now he has Eve, and he has someone to love. He has someone to pour out his affection to. And then they sinned. And ever since that day, man was cut off from love and has been in need of love. Ever since that day that Adam sinned and left the garden, he's been in need of love. Why? Because he got cut off from the source of love. He got cut off from what was fulfilling him every day. And that's me and you. We were born, Bible says in Romans 5, we were born into Adam. Right? So we're born into that place where ever since we were little, I can relate, you can relate to this, ever since we were little, we were looking to find acceptance, looking to find affirmation, looking to find someone to value our lives, to find our worth through life, through people, through situations, through whatever, like growing up in school, it clicks and you're trying to find yourself. That all started because of this. Because man got cut off from the source of love. Okay? And so Jesus comes, and at the end of John chapter 17, he says this, like, I thought I memorized it. Okay, I got it. He said, the world doesn't know you, but I've known you, and they know that I know you. And I've come to make you known so that the love that you have for me will be in them, and then I will be in them. And then he goes to the cross and dies. Right? So he's saying, God, I know you, and I'm here to make you known. Why? So that the love that I have with you, this perfect love relationship, the thing that Adam had in the garden, can be restored to them. So that they don't have to keep living their lives needing, trying to find themselves through situations, trying to find their value, trying to find their worth through how people treat you, right? But you can look and once for all know the love of God. My favorite verse in the Bible, Ephesians 3:19 says, to know the love of Christ, that you may be filled with the fullness of God. What is that? The fullness of God? Like, I can't even honestly comprehend what that means. God is infinite. And the Apostle Paul says, if you know the love of Christ, you will be so full, so secure in yourself, so free from trying to find yourself in situations in life and the way that other people are treating you, that you'll be free to start to love. Do you understand that? Like, until you find this fullness here, you can't do this. Because you're so concerned about how people see you. You know what I mean? Until you grab fullness here, until you know that God loves you, and that no one else can take that from you, you're free to love. Until then, you can't, because you're so concerned about, oh my God, I felt like, what were they saying? Oh man, like you're still always trying to find acceptance. I see it everywhere I go. I see it in school. I work in an oil company now. And I see it I'm telling you, I can see it in the way that people, in boardrooms, in meetings, I see it everywhere I go. And people say, some people try to find it really hard to relate to Christianity, to relate to God. It's so easy for me. I can see sometimes I can just look into people's eyes and just see it. You can just see people are striving, people are trying their best to gain acceptance, to find favor in you, to find someone to value them. And God brought his son to the earth, and he killed him to show you. Right? Jesus went on the cross. It says, and I think it's Isaiah 53, it says, it pleased the Father to bruise the Son. That sounds like, whoa, bro. Like, pleased him to bruise him? Yeah, so that he can get to you. He's trying to show you, you're so valuable. I want to get you back. I want to be in relationship with you. And you're worth that to me. And when we see that love, when we know that love, we can live in fullness. Right? And so, going back to that verse in 1 John 2, it's not about doing and don't do and do this, don't listen to this, don't watch this, don't do this. I'm telling you, if you know the love of God, that'll all be crushed. You won't live legalistically. You won't live, do this, don't do this. You'll know, you'll be so secure here, you'll just live free. But before to me, it's not a theory to me. I've experienced this in my life. I don't know, some of you might have heard my testimony, but I grew up, and when I got to the 7th grade, I began to start viewing pornography. And for 6 years, I had a pornography addiction. And the night that I was in my first year dorm room, 511 Mackenzie Hall, and the night was this night, and God comes and he whispers to me, and I'm just broken. It's a long story, I'll make it short. Basically, I'm broken, I'm bawling on the ground. I just feel like, for the first time, I feel complete brokenness. And God comes and he whispers to me and he says, Natty, I've loved you the whole time. I've loved you the whole time. And you know what? I used to always just look back and think about that moment and be like, I always cry. I cry all the time. I cry every week. Every single time. Like, if you get to know Jesus, you'll cry every week. I cry every week. I promise you. But I used to just look back and just think, oh my God, you said close to me. But then this last week, I was looking back, and the thing that made me cry is that it wasn't just that he said that, but that after that moment, my entire life changed. You know why? Because after that moment, I realized I was worth more. I realized my value. I realized, wow, God loved me enough to come into my bedroom and tell me that he loved me. Why am I wasting my time with this? the value of pornography, the value of this temptation became like nothing. It became the dumbest thing ever. It had no voice in my life after that moment. Why? Because I knew this love. And for the first time in my life, I became fulfilled. I understood that there's a reason for my life. There's a reason why I'm alive. God thinks it's worth it to kill his son so he can have a relationship with me. I must be of some value. And so the things of the world, no one has to tell me, Natty, don't watch out what you're watching, watch out what you're browsing. No one has to tell me that. I'm not even tempted. There is no temptation. Why? Because the love of God has fulfilled my heart. My heart is one. I don't know if I really have a challenge, but my message is that it's not, people kind of, they judge church and be like, oh man, you're just about to tell me what to do and what not to do. It's not even about that. I think my message is that your life is so valuable to God. Your life is so worthwhile. Like, it doesn't while I was worshiping, God said, you did nothing to get into this love. Why do you think you have to do something to stay into it? To stay in it, right? I was feeling a bit down, like, man, I haven't been living like you, Lord Jesus. But I said, you didn't do anything to get into this love. Why do you feel like you have to do anything to stay in it? Right? It's who you are. Like, I'm the one who died for you. I'm the one who reconciled you. And so the message, what I want to say before I keep preaching, is that your lives are valuable. Go after the love of God. Don't go for a feeling. Right? You're not looking for a feeling tonight because that'll fade. You're looking for love is the truth about who you are. Yeah. Once you know, it's not a feeling, that's a knowing, that's a truth. No one can take that from you. To know the love of God is to be filled with the fullness of God. Thanks, guys.